50 years ago, America was on the eve of Apollo 11 touching down on the moon, and US astronauts becoming the first to step foot there. All week, there have been events to mark the anniversary and look back at the space race, which led to this new frontier. In Washington, crowds have turned out to see a massive celebratory display. Here's Nick Bryant.
In a week that's highlighted the deep divisions in Washington and America, a gigantic reminder of a unifying national mission. Apollo 11 projected onto the Washington Monument for this Back to the Future celebration. And at ground level, a coming together of the American generations.
I want to be an astronaut one day.
You want to go to the moon?
Yes.
Do you think you'll ever get there?
I don't know.
It's been pretty cool to see it. So see it through YouTube, see it through that area. So to be here and be alive, it's brand new to me. So to me, it's just as exciting as we did it the first time.
It was beyond remarkable. It was almost the type of thing that you didn't think could possibly come to be.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Conquering new frontiers has always been an essential part of the American spirit. But it was conquering the Soviet Union that made the space race such an urgent national priority. In those Cold War years, Soviet cosmonauts had outpaced American astronauts. The moon mission was also about a global ideological battle.
The space race was all about the Cold War. The whole reason the race to the moon was to beat the Soviet Union and prove that the Western capitalist model of government was better than the Soviet model. And that was a serious issue in the early 60s. But the United States beats the Soviet Union to the moon in 1969. It tremendously undercuts the legitimacy of the Soviet Union, both internally and externally, and I think contributes to the collapse of the Soviet Union 30 years later.
Oh, geez, that's great. Is the lighting halfway decent?
Taking the Stars and Stripes to the moon was surprisingly something of an afterthought. It was purchased from a local hardware shop.
As you talk to us from the Sea of Tranquility.
And though the moon mission was launched by John F. Kennedy, it was his one-time rival, Richard Nixon, who was president at the time.
For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
The moon landing came at the end of a tumultuous decade. The 60s brought the struggle for black equality, the Vietnam War, the assassinations of the Kennedy brothers and Dr. Martin Luther King. Here, finally, was a moment that transcended national strife. There's been a wave of space-age nostalgia, marking a glorious, near-hypnotic moment when America First had a very different connotation. Nick Bryant, BBC News, Washington.